you give it to love. Issues,
Well, welcome to another episode of Out of the Mouths of Men. My name is Leander Candiero. Thank you very much for watching on Facebook. Thank you very much for subscribing on YouTube, and also your comments and questions. Remember, you can also send us a WhatsApp or call us on 0773 910 095. Yet another interesting discussion this week, and this week we want to talk absent fathers. Do they have an impact of boys as they grow into men? Thank you very much once again for tuning in and watching. Today I'm privileged to have Leopold in the studio from Impact for Boys. Thank you very much for making time to be with us, Leopold.
Thank you for being with me, Leand.
All right, so we want to dive straight into it. We've been talking about issues affecting men. We started talking about suicide. We went into men who are not able to deal with the empowered woman, the emancipated woman. We also spoke about culture and its impact on the men today. But we wanted to take back a little bit and find out. Most of the time we talk about men, but we know that men have a transition from boys. And maybe some of the problems that we are seeing actually start off from boyhood. You have a program that is called Impact for Boys. Before we delve into the details of this program, tell us about the program Impact for Boys.
Thank you so much. The Impact for Boys program is a mentorship program that is designed for boys with absent fathers. So we are working in Mufakosi, where we took 50 boys for the program, and these boys are aged between 17 to 21. And so we've got 3 roles that we play in the lives of these boys. We meet every Friday for a 1-year life skills program that we have in class, and practical life skills. So just maybe a rundown of some of the life skills that we do. We've got motivational life skills, entrepreneurial skills, relationship skills, including grooming and deportment, your hygiene issues. Yes, we do with quite a number of programs that deal with the total person. These are transformational programs.
Fantastic.
So on our practical life skills, we taught them how to start a business in car washing, hairstyling and barbering. There's also basic electricity. You know how to just to teach you how to replace a light bulb, sockets, and just basic home stuff that you'll be doing at home, basic plumbing, basic motor mechanics, just to remove a tire and to place it back. These are some of the things that the boy child really needs for them to, as they grow. These are skills that they need for them to grow up as men.
And I think it's important because some of the skills that you've actually spoken about, most of us get them from our fathers.
Ordinary.
As the father is changing a spare tire,
Yes.
changing the light bulb, maybe cutting the hedge,
Yes.
or just doing some of these menial jobs. A lot of the times, those who are privileged to have their fathers around, they learn from their fathers.
Of course.
So I just want to commend you for that program.
Before maybe I will go further, because we've got 3 roles. So I just mentioned the life skills program. The second objective that we have is through psychosocial support, where we help these boys to process the pain of paternal rejection. The issue of absent fathers comes with a lot of emotions, with a lot of issues that arise from this issue, So we take them through into support groups, where we have our qualified social workers who deal with them in counseling. So we have one-on-one counseling sessions. We also do group sessions, and also peer-to-peer, because some of the boys share the same issues, and so they discuss amongst themselves, and in the process help each other to cope in the community. So the third thing that we do is that we are the male figures in the lives of these boys. So basically we provide basic life essentials, your clothing. We pay fees for some of the boys who want to pursue their education. And with the age that we took, some just want exam fees to be able to write exams. So we also expose them to life opportunities. We create opportunities of work, of business. If we find people who want boys to do some piece jobs, we take them through And the icing on the cherry, Leander, we are taking them through, we're helping them through to attain their driver's licenses.
Wow.
So as we speak, they have started to do oral lessons on provisional license. Then they'll go through the driving lessons into the road testing. So that at least as they finish the year, because we started our program in October last year. So October this year, we released our first group of boys. And they must go empowered with skills and also a driver's license.
Interesting.
You can find a job to being a driver. Those are things that goes a long way in the lives of these boys.
Absolutely. We are speaking here to Leopold, and he's from Impact for Boys, and he's just speaking about some of the programs. In fact, 3 of the programs that they take these boys through, and I must say very impactful. And I think for those who go through the program consistently, they leave a complete boy or a complete man, if you want to say that. So thank you so much for that.
My pleasure.
Now let's get to the crust of the issue that we want to discuss. This is out of the mouths of men, where we're trying to get the voice of the men to finally speak out.
Okay.
Yes. Now, as you interact with these boys, and obviously you just don't interact with the boys, you obviously also interact with the guardians,
Yeah.
whether it's a mother, an uncle, an aunt, where these boys are coming from. What are some of the reasons that these men are deserting their families?
Okay. So there are different reasons. First one is that of teen moms. With the case of teen moms. So we've got boys also who don't even know who their father is.
Wow.
Because the mom got pregnant when she was 14, 15, 16, and then maybe the family of the mother, where the mother comes from, the maternal side, will say, we do not want to hear anything about this guy. So this guy goes.
Tochengeta wana wedu.
Tochengeta mwana wedu. And you know how my issues are noitika when such things happen. They are not mentally prepared for that financially, and so there's a lot of drama associated with impregnating someone else's daughter, and so a lot happens. So like I said, at our boys program, we have those boys that do not even know who their father is. They may know a name, but then they've never seen a face straight.
Yeah.
And so another category of boys is that of those who, through marital breakdowns,
Yeah.
you know, the divorce cases, there's quite a rise of divorce cases,
Sure.
you know, in society. And so obviously divorce is always messy, and it affects the children. And under normal circumstances, children go with the mother.
Yes.
So the father sometimes moves on and marries another person, and then starts another family, and it's another perspective to it. So yeah, divorce also. Then immigration.
Wow.
Taenda ku South Africa, quite an opportunity. Ngonzi na Leander, we are ku South Africa, timbongwa vangwav. And then you know how it is. Casual sex happens, vomitisa woikoko vamwe, you know, so vana baba vari kubuda mudzimba because of some of these issues.
Now, when you speak to these boys, what do they feel about their fathers who were never there? One, a father that they don't know up to now, who they've never known.
Yes.
Two, a father who then goes away because there was a messy divorce.
Yes.
And sometimes we also know that some don't divorce at all, they just leave. They just go. You're talking about maybe kudala taitora nyedza na wenera tsedzo twakaenda kuenera obva wangosiya mhuri wasvika ikoko unoita futi imwe mhuri asi haisi mhuri yavo vanombopota vachiuya obva wazo. So I just want to find out the feelings of the boys. Are they bitter with their fathers who they don't know? Do they understand some of these circumstances? Through your interactions, what do the boys feel?
Most of the boys are angry. And most of their anger comes from the narratives that they are told by the mothers. Because these are driven by the mothers through conversations. And so I know, because in every boy's life, as they are growing up, they want to know, where is my father? Who is my father? What happened? You know? And so the narrative that the mother carries is what carries the weight.
And I suppose it's worse if the mother herself is bitter.
Most of our mothers are bitter because of the circumstances that would have happened for the divorce or for the separation or for the abandonment, whichever case it would have been. So the mothers are the ones that are holding the keys towards the narrative. Obviously, when a divorce was messy or when the father ran away, mothers vanototanga kutaura kuti iwe unoita sababa wako pakati hey chichi, you know how it is.
Yeah.
Your father was this and all that. So this now shapes the narratives of the boys, which now builds up to anger.
Bitterness and
Yes, and bitterness. So most of the boys, when we started with them, said you are invoking memories that we ordinarily don't speak about.
When you open up the discussion, they actually say that.
They said that because they were very open and upfront to say these issues we have never spoken about them to anyone. Some even to their mothers, because vaninge vachinyara, because the mother is the primary caregiver. And so sometimes if you ask where is my father, you are offending the mother.
Absolutely.
And also maybe you are
it.
tracking also the kind of conversations or narratives that these mothers are always tuning out. And you are thinking to nyaya yamudhara mama matomboda kuinzwa haitauriki. And also you can't ask the uncles because sometimes they're not forthcoming with information. You know how secretive our African society is pertaining to issues like this. So it's always an issue where the boys had to figure out sometimes what happened to with their dads. And some will even come out upfront to say, I do not believe the narrative that my mother says, because she's speaking out of a position of pain. So what we hear is the pain that she has towards my father. And so this ignites the desire for the boy to want to know who their father is. So there are two types of boys. There are those who do not even want to hear anything about their fathers, and there are those who still have a yearning to want to know who their father is. You know how it is when kids are growing and they're at school, and maybe there's a sport that they are so good at, and it's only their mother who's there, or not even there.
Yeah.
And someone else is not so good, but their mom and their dad is there and they're cheering them up and they're saying better luck next time, hugging them and all.
Another scenario that I've seen is, and unfortunately we cannot really hold it against our teachers.
Okay.
There's an assumption that every child in that class has a mother and a father, which is true.
Of
I mean,
course.
biologically, they do have a father and a mother. But there's an assumption that where they are coming from, the dad is present and the mother is present. So they innocently ask, Baba wanoite?
Yes.
Wanoshanda kupi? I am a broadcaster. I remember when we were in training at one time,
Yes.
one guy asks and says, I heard on radio a child who called in, and then the presenter asked, "Oh, did kupi?" And then they said, "Did up?"
Yes.
And then there was silence. The broadcaster themselves did not know how to come back.
Oh.
So there's an assumption sometimes from teachers to say, "Did wako?" And I can kind of see where you're coming from. Now, Leopold, you did say that you have 50 boys. Of the 50 boys that you've tried to ask about their fathers, let's talk percentages or rough figures. Are there any who have said, I do not want to talk about that
Yes.
at all? Are there any within the group who have said, please, let's leave that issue?
Well, I will say yes at the beginning. When we started the program, some were not open enough. And I began the conversation by telling out my story. That is what then inspired some to share and to be open and to now openly discuss and say, I've come to a place now where I'm settled. I've forgiven my father.
Because so eventually they do.
Yes, when we started, we took them through paternal rejection as a topic for 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yes, then we started doing the counseling sessions where we were sharing our stories and people crying. Some we were using counseling techniques like the empty chair, where you sit in front of a chair, empty chair, and just imagine your father is sitting in front of you. Talk to your father. That was the most emotional session that we had with these boys, and you actually connect with these boys to say they are in pain. But as now, I would say when we started, it was around 85% of the boys. Some were comfortable because they knew their fathers, but they are just absent.
Yeah.
So
Oprah Winfrey did a show on absent fathers. and she alluded to the fact that most of their juvenile facilities, which are like prisons for the younger boys, most of them are in there, and they confess that the behavior or the unwanted behavior in society is actually traced back to an absent father.
Yes.
Most of those who commit crimes is traced back to the absent father. Now, I want to talk to you about the negative impacts that you feel through the program itself and obviously through your expertise. Does not having a father have any impact on who the boy eventually becomes?
Okay. Yes, to a greater percentage. Number one, we can talk about self-esteem, confidence. You know, one of the primary roles of a father is to affirm their son. I can even quote the Bible. Jesus, when he was coming from the transfiguration, they had a voice. They had a voice from heaven which affirmed God speaking about Jesus and said, "This is my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased." So the voice of affirmation, if it is absent in the life of a boy or a girl, life becomes difficult. The role of a father again is to guide. And so if there is no one to guide you through navigating the issues of life, there's that confusion that comes. You do not know how to do house chores, for example. Those that are, you know, with gender roles, we've got roles that are mostly inclined to men.
Yeah, true.
Who communicates to you those roles. And so, especially in the case where mom has got two other girls, baby girls, and a boy, she is more inclined and attuned to the girls. And then sometimes the boy now begins to just follow the pattern of what the girls do.
Yet there are things that need to be instilled
specific
in
things that
as a man or
father,
as a boy.
Yes, has to communicate and instill in the life of a boy, the boy child. So mothers, yes, are doing a good job raising boy children, but dads do a greater work in terms of raising boys.
They need to be there.
So yeah, that's a negative effect apparently when you grow up with that dad, the issue of roles and all. And then there's the greatest one, which is identity. You want to know who you are. Who you are mostly, you know, I want to Mofu do brag about their totem.
This was,
Mofu, you know, I'm Shumba, I'm this, I'm that. All those. Umba. And so when you are coming from a place where your father has never instilled such or the value of who you are as a person, where we come from, that history is very important, and especially to the boy child. And then where still you grow up using your maternal surname, you perpetuate it across generations. So if I'm using my mom's surname, if I have children, they are going to be named after my mom's surname. And so when do you break that cycle? Yeah.
Wow. So now we now also have an issue where this boy is probably going to get married.
Yes.
I mean, it's not an obvious case, but I think most boys would want to end up being fathers themselves,
Yes.
heading families, and some even heading organizations. The father is not there for affirmation.
Yes.
The father is not there for guidance. The father is not there for training some of these simple issues. And like you said, not that it's a bad thing, but life is based on balance.
Yes.
You always need the male side and the female side. This one is raised by the mother with two other females in like the example that you gave. But this boy wants to go and lead a family as a man. He also probably wants to lead a team.
Yeah.
Now, do these boys fit in society? Do they fit in the family? Can they lead families successfully? Let's say they don't go through Impact for Boys and they just go. Akakura singazive baba. Pango dzimwe nguwa tototenda vamwana mai vanozotomira ivo ava vanenge vachiti vachikudza vanasikana kana vachikudza vanakomana pamwana wakomana chete tinotovatenda. Asi kune vanobva vangozviregedza kuti baba wacho zvavasipo.
Okay, yeah.
Ini ndakutonotanga imwe mhuri uyu vanozvionerawo. These boys now need to integrate as men into society. Kunoitawo mhuri, kunoshanda. Zvinofamba sei papa?
Leander, this is a difficult subject, terrain to navigate. Transitioning from being a boy with an absent father to become a husband yourself and subsequently the father of your children. It takes more than just growing up to become age appropriate to marry.
Sure, I hear you.
You know, so you are 25 and society requires for you to marry. But then has there been enough training and grounding for you to assume the role that you are taking? Firstly, the role of becoming. Yes, that's the thing. Most of, you know what, I can relate with myself, for example. If, you know, I can safely say that I was properly churched. I learned how to be a man at church. I learned to pull down female tendencies that I had grown up accustomed to because I grew up in a family setup where there are two girls and my mom. And sometimes you are even, you want to participate in gossip. You know how it is. You know, naturally women love to tell stories.
Yeah.
And you're sitting in there and you're thinking objectively as a man to say, this narrative is somewhat biased. I will remain. But the temptation, you know, to participate and to further the gossip is there. So what I'm trying to say is that it is very difficult, Leander. You know, there are certain things like insecurities. Yes, there are certain things like fears. You know, as a man, there are certain things that as the custodian of the family, you are supposed to get people out of fear, calm the situation.
Sure.
And in certain situations, you don't know how to do it because you have never, the masculine identity is not completely embedded in you. So it's a struggle. So that's why you find sometimes, you know, I'm invested in marriage counseling, and most of the issues that are burning, especially in our generation, is the issue of mommy's babies syndrome. Where we have boy children who are always consulting their mothers on issues relating to their marriages. To say mama apa chichi, so it is the mother's voice which is too loud in that marriage relationship.
Your issue Charlotte is discussing
One day
people are out of the mouths of men.
Okay.
It's a very interesting one. But I hear you. The other thing that I was really going to then ask is mkomana uyu apinda mumba.
Yeah.
Anditi. Asi apinda mumba akarerwa na amai ndo aitomira.
Of course.
Ndo wanga vari breadwinner. Baba wangu wasipo.
Yeah.
Amai ndo aitomira wachiona kuti mukomana adya here, aenda kuchikoro here, kusvika iye atoroorewo. Anditi. Mubvunzo wangu uri pakuti iko zvinezvi we are now talking about an emancipated woman, an empowered woman who knows her rights, who knows that ndinofanira kuti ndiende kubasa, ndinokwanisa kutohora kupfuura baba, ndinokwanisa kutovaka inini imba ndakatoroorwa. What I want to find out is this boy akakura achitorerwa naamai, does he find it easier to deal with an emancipated woman than probably I would? Inini ndakakura nchona baba wachimiramira. What is the narrative there?
Okay, I think to a greater extent, yes. They understand the empowerment, the empowered woman, and vakadzi vanomeka mari. Though it's azvitambirike zvekumhanya. Yeah, because you know what, we are coming from patriarchy, male dominance. Yes, ana mai vedu vakakura vachipiwa mari kusvika paswiti yekutengera vana, domasi, you know, those most basic things. Now it has actually changed. Women are now even making decisions pertaining to tonogara kupi kumba imba chaichai. Maybe whatever high density of that, no, I will chip in and we go to the low density.
To move up.
And so For men it's not easy because like I said, you know, we were raised up in a patriarchal society, but we also appreciate women empowerment because these women are actually helping us, you know, in terms of building families, like financially and in terms of building our legacies. Of course, yes, men we build legacy, but then our women are actually helping us build that.
Absolutely.
So yes, men vakakura vasina na baba, like I indicated, it's a very difficult terrain, but I think it depends with where you are fed in terms of guidance and direction for life.
Sure. Sure. All right. So, because I was very keen on that one, because one of the issues that gave birth to this program, Out of the Mouths of Men, is men finding it difficult to just deal with issues.
Yeah.
Once they get into the real world. I was interested when you said some of these boys would cry during your counseling sessions,
Yes.
which is another issue that is topical right now. Should a man cry?
Yes.
Because inyaya yeutonetsa iyoyo, because iwo madzimai wacho akutororwa nevarume vacho inini handidi murume anochema ini. Like you're saying kuti sometimes iwo ndonofanira kutomiramira uchiratidza kuti ndiwe monya yemumba, so vamwe madzimai kutoti murume hafanira kuchema. But you are saying some of these boys have cried and they've let out. I was with Tony Friday when we were speaking about suicide. Achiti dzimwe nguva zviri kutadzisa varume kuzodhila nema-issues. Ari kushaya kwekuchema achida kutochema.
Yes.
Achida kubuditsa zvinhu, but society iri kumurambidza. Kubasa hazvibvumidzwe, kubhawa hazikuvumidzwa, kubhora hazikuvumidzwa, kumba wese. Kuzoita kumba kwaakabva, mai vacho vanenge vachiti unopenga here. Kana mabrothers kuti iwe munhu achemi wana tete wese. Kuti iwe haucheme. But I was very interested when you said some of these guys let out.
Yeah.
Then vamwe vari kutadza kutongoshaya munhu wekutaurira kuti wakomanaka inini mumba umu zvinhu hazvina kumira mushe.
Yeah.
The other program that we had was on childless marriages. Zvichinzi varume zviri kuvanetsa futi kudhila nema-issues iwawo havana kwekuenda. So all these outlets and all these issues, men don't have a place to go, which is why we then end up them getting into alcohol, drugs, and worse still suicide.
Yeah.
Atadza kudhila nawo. So this is why we really wanted to have this conversation kuti pane kwazviri kubva here, especially with these guys who have never been groomed by another man. Kuti this is how you deal with life, son. This is why we had this discussion.
Yeah, you know, I envy women for one simple reason. Women have safe spaces to let out, to cry. Vakadzi vanogara pasi vachitaurirana dambudziko. Ndisikuda kutaura nokuti pamwe unopiwa advice iri wrong kana kuti, but the fact yekuti mangogara pasi.
Watori nesamwe kwekuenda.
Yeah, vakadzi vanoenda kuchina, vakadzi vane ma-platforms, church platforms that they go, even social platforms dzavanongowana mukana wekutaura. WhatsApp group munotaurwa nyaya. Varume, men are known as headliners. Leander will say, "You're right." But if I ask your wife, "How are you?" she will let you know of what happened from Monday up to Sunday and what's going to happen next week in one conversation. But how are you, Yangoitika? You just, the default response is, "I'm fine, thank you." But do we really know if you're fine?
Yeah.
So we created a safe space for boys at our program to cry and to let out how you feel deep down inside, because we feel it's important for a man to let out. Because one of the reasons that I had left out Pamavunza, why do men leave, one of the reasons is financial pressure. Pressure yekuti zvinhu zviri kudiwa to provide for my family is just too much. Considering what I'm doing, you know how it is, my business is some skunyatsofaya pamwe kubasa, you're not earning much, kana basa ratopera. So these are real pressures. Zvekuti murume akanorara kumba anomuka na 2 am otasa mudenga so kusvika na 5 achitoona zuva richichinja, the weather ichichinja, akamuka achifunga kuti ndoita sei. Chances are anotomuka asina kana plan yaatombofunga, even mausiku acho asina kurara. So that's pressure.
Yeah.
And you Leander, you know kuti successfully pama attempts a suicide, eva rume 4 out of 5 ndo anoita successful.
Yeah.
Eva kadzi 1 out of 5.
We've noticed that, yeah.
Yes. So it is because of the issue of letting out. men are not able to let out. If they are sharing their issues, anongokupaka pinch so. Kwitonge ndo kari magnified. They can't go into detail of what happened. And so the question, how do you feel? Yeah, that question really needs a proper answer so that some of those things are peeled out as you share.
I've got just 2 more questions before we end up. You deal with boys who are dealing with the issue of absent fathers. And we've given some of the reasons why these fathers are leaving. There's probably a question from somebody who's watching right now. The father is absent not because he left, but because he died.
Okay.
Do you take such boys in as well?
Well, our program is just specifically for boys with absent fathers. Yeah, so we have not extended our hand to those because I feel these are 2 different challenges.
Sure.
You know, when a father is alive and they are absent, there's more pain than when your father died. You experienced the pain, you cry, you mourned.
But who knows what you can't help
over
it,
time,
right?
you have closure.
Okay.
You know where to go, where he was laid to rest. You can go and, do justice
I
to
understand.
the challenge.
I
But
understand.
an absent father, if we even have men who are in their 50s and 60s struggling with issues, because my issues ekwana baba anoda not my dead issues. My issues ekwa baba ano affect even murume akuma 60s.
True.
Like I said, identity ushansesene kwa mai vako. I remember I wedded someone who said to me, so will I be able to change my surname since I'm in the process of reconciling with my paternal with the paternal side of my family? And I just got stuck myself.
The other question that I just want to ask is, a lot of people have asked this question, where if we let men cry, if we let men share their weaknesses, you're allowed to cry, do you feel that we're encouraging or grooming weak men?
Not at all. A problem is shared is a problem solved.
Because there is a school of thought
Yes.
that even kudhara kuma medieval times waiona kuti kuhondo kwenzi varume nevakomana endai vakadzi vosara nevana. Why? Because they expected the men kuti no matter what unongozvishingisa. And this is what we are groomed to do anyway, even today, kuti murume anoshinga. Saka natakuti kuti isusu murume ngaacheme, murume ngaangonotaura nyaya dzengafugure hapwa. Don't you think we could be guilty of raising weak men?
Leander, kana tichiti varume ngavachemeka hatisi kuti budai panze pemagedhe enyu motanga kufamba muchichema kuti tine machallenges zvonzwi.
Toti vachemere kupi?
Ndosvatiri kutaura tika. I said I envy women because they've got many spaces, safe spaces to cry.
Okay.
Even inini chaiye ndikada kuchema handichemeri pamberi pemukadzi wangu.
Or imam to feel comfortable.
Yes, I'm vulnerable to my wife when I'm sharing issues, when I'm sharing my pain, my fears, and issues that affect me as an individual. But to cry, I don't want my family to see me cry. Not because I appear weak to them, but I want to deal with my pain, then rise from the place of pain to a place of power. Then I will be able to, yes, because mokuchema, crying is not an excuse to shy a way forward. You are looking for a way forward, tears running down your cheeks, but uchito move on. The struggle is really under, but we have to cope because those are two suicide. Chances of a man succeeding suicide is 4 out of 5 times, which means tikangozifunga kuti ndakunofa 4 out of 5 times success.
And stats show as well that there's more men taking their own lives than women. Leopold, I want to thank you so much. First of all, for the work that you're doing for boys with absent fathers. I think it's a very good program, and from the way you described it, it's holistic. And thank you so much for that. I also want to thank you for coming through. Somebody's watching right now and they're thinking, I also want to be part of that, or I want to lend a hand. There's something that I can contribute to Impact for Boys. How do they get in touch with you?
Okay, my number is 0774 754 294.
Maybe just go over it again.
0774 754 294. 294. So if you have got issues, of course, we cannot join you to the Bufakosi program, but we have a platform where we can give counsel and help and assistance for you to navigate the issue relating to boys with absent fathers.
Leopold, it's been great. Thank you very much for coming to Out of the Mouths of Men. We were with Leopold discussing absent fathers, and he's from Impact for Boys. Thank you very much for listening. And once again, you can get in touch with him for Impact for Boys, but you can also send your messages on WhatsApp or call us for issues panning nyaya. That's 0773 910 095. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
I let you give it to